Nobody's here yet because it's a live stream, but I just had an email exchange with somebody at Sunwest Automotive. You see, a couple months ago, I delivered a set of cams, my custom cams, and as some of you know, these cams cost a lot for me to make, and they cost more than I could ever sell them for because they would be so far out of the market price that nobody would buy them. But I do it because I want to get my products out there, my name out there some more. You know, it's like an investment of sorts. Plus, also, they're freaking sweet, you know, and it's hard not to want people to have an awesome cam profile like this. Guys are getting faster spool and more horsepower and everything out of them. It's really good. So I want people to get them. Plus, they pretty much completely eliminate the issue with failure, where the cams wipe all the lobes or some of the lobes, which can result in dropped valves and destroyed engines. So I addressed all those failures with the cams, with the way I treat the lobes, with the oiling modification that I do. So there's just a lot of stuff. Like once I get them from Kelford, I do 4 more processes to them. And you know, processes take money. My hair, holy shit. Anyways, so gave them some cams and heads. Well, I brought them to tier 1 and then put them in the box with Igor. Igor's the one that made the 700 horsepower in his 13 STI. Hey, James. So he made 700 horsepower in his 13 STI with my cams. But what you don't know is that was the second set of cams that I gave Igor. Well, I don't say gave. He bought one and I gave him the second set. So I finished his cams. I took them to tier 1. I put them in Igor's box with his heads. And I say box, but it's a big plastic black tote. So I put them, hey Connor, I put them in the tote with his heads, and they were taken to Sunwest Automotive in Washington. And a long time went by. And nothing had happened to them. And Igor's block was done, and he was like, what the heck? And that's outside of the fact that there was already tons of issues with his block and other people's blocks getting machined properly. So finally he goes there to get his own heads, and they haven't worked on them because they can't find them. They seem to have lost them. So like 2 days goes by, and they finally find the heads. Oh, there's a fly. Sweet. They finally find the heads, and they had nothing done to them. So they had to open them up for bigger head studs and all of that. But what they don't have is the cams. The valve lash was never done. None of that stuff was done. And the cams are now missing. So Igor goes to pick them up and finds out that he doesn't have any cams with him. So they look over the shop. Sunwest says they look for them, can't find them. They're gone. So I, having faith that either Tier 1 or Sunwest would make things right, gave Igor a second set of cams to get his car running. Say, all right, do this, whatever, and these guys will fix it. I was wrong, because nobody's fucking fixed it. So they sent me an email asking me to help them with this Baja that they built, and I plain and simply said, look, man, you guys lost these heads and cams, I finally found the heads, and haven't done anything to make it right. So I'm not going to help you with this Baja. And the guy's like, well, I never had them, blah, 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 blah. You don't know where you get your information from, but we never had them. They were never here. Like, motherfucker, you lost the heads for 3 days. Like, what? You lost the fucking heads for 3 days. You didn't even know they were there. How the fuck am I supposed to believe you when you say you didn't have the cams? Because on day 2, you didn't have the heads either. Right? Like, on day 2, there's no heads here. Like, day 3, they find the heads. And no cams. And now it's like, no, we never had the cams. Well, bull fucking shit. Because I took that box myself, and I put it in the tote that was taken to your shop. So now, they've had a lot of turnover there lately from what I've heard, because some of their guys are fucking up a lot. Like you guys see my other streams where there was a bunch of engines machined improperly. They were the source of a handful of them being machined wrong. One of them was they'd done the center line and somehow mixed the blocks up because it wasn't the same block. That center line was not matching on both those case halves. So apparently they had to get rid of some people. I mean, it's only, it's an assumption, But if you got shitty people working for you, you gotta get rid of them, and you lost some shit, they probably took it with them. You know, I mean, regardless, like, they ain't there now. My cams. So I just said, hey man, I'm not gonna do any help with you guys until I'm compensated for these cams. And they're like, well, I guess you're not doing any business with this then. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess not. And I can't say that I take my business elsewhere because I've always been doing that anyways. So instead, I'm just going to make sure that everyone knows not to use you guys until you lose enough jobs that you think to yourself, wow, I probably should have owned up to our screw up and paid for these fucking cams. So here I am, intentionally bashing the shop because they fucked up and won't own up to it. So up to present date, of all the engines that we've seen customers show up with that come from that place, only 2 have survived a tune. Many of them let go on like the first or second bolt. A bunch let go on the drive home, and some last a few days. But they've all let go. It's always the same. They always spin the bearings, the same thing. So I don't know what they're doing wrong in particular, but they're doing something wrong. To let go on the first pull means that the stuff isn't done right. So if it's not being done right, I don't know. I don't know if you know why anyone would utilize them. They used to have good bore and hone and machine work. Like a couple years ago, we used them a lot because of all the other shops in the area that we had tried. They were the most consistent, and they have a really nice hone. They have a really nice, modern, advanced hone, and the owner's really nice. I like the owner. He seems to be pretty cool usually. But then all of a sudden, there's just this rash of problems, like just tons and tons of problems popping up with the machine work. Things getting lost, things getting misplaced, things not getting done, things being scratched, just a lot of stuff. And it was like we were taking everything back. Hey guys, this is wrong. Hey guys, this is wrong. I say we, I shouldn't say we, because tier 1's not me. I'm not tier 1, I just help them out a lot. So I shouldn't say we, I should clarify that. Tier 1's taking them back. I don't want to speak for tier 1 because I don't speak for tier 1. I just know that I've been there to witness this shit happen because I also have tried to assemble engines with them. I've tried to blueprint engines and help them out find things and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Subaru's not easy. That's the thing. A lot of people think that for something the Subaru's really easy. The Subaru's not easy. It is not an easy engine to machine. Every machinist you talk to that does Subarus is like, oh yeah, they're a fucking pain in the ass. And there's reasons for that. One of those reasons is the when you have to bore the cylinder, right? You got to go down the cylinder with the tool. You can't overstroke the cylinder. Now, what I mean is you can't take the tool and pass it past the bottom of the cylinder, and then bring it and pass it past top again, right? And you don't take it out of the cylinder, but you use most of the head, right, of the cutting head, and you bring it through. And what that does is it ensures that you don't have like the tool spending too much time in one spot. Okay, it's called dwell. People call it dwell. So if you have too much piston or too much dwell, not piston dwell. There's the fucking rod ratio guy. I mean, too much dwell from the tool in the cylinders. Then what happens is it bores out bigger in that area. And so to combat that, machinists overstroke as much as they can without the stones getting out of alignment the bore. And by overstroking the bore, you have the tool spending more of its time at its operational speed and less of its time stopping and slowing down and coming back again, right? Or slowing down, stopping, and going back again, right? Because that time that's spent like that, the thing is still spinning, okay? So you can't overstroke with the Subaru EJ more than this far because the main support is right there under the cylinder. And so what it does is it takes a really either a really good machine that monitors the width as it's going and adjusts dwell time as it's moving, which exists, and that's what they have right now. Or you have to have a really skilled guy that knows how to share the dwell and the tool time, in the bore to keep it from footballing, the cylinder, or having the back end of it, bugle out like a trumpet. And so they're hard to do. And, most of the shops that we went to couldn't get it right. And at least it wasn't consistent enough. We'd get cylinders that were extremely tapered or out of round or very different than the one next to it, and that kind of stuff. And so for quite a few years, Tier 1, not we, Tier 1 was getting them done there, and they were coming out really, really good. And so we stuck with them because, you got a good machine, you got some good dudes, and that's fine. But something happened, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if they got too busy or if someone left that was good and they had to find shitty people. So I know with COVID and stuff, people make a lot more money on unemployment than they are working. But something happened and the quality dropped drastically. And just the machine work for us. They seem to be doing, I keep saying us, for Tier 1. Anyways, it's gotten bad. And so I can't recommend someone goes there because the quality is so suspect that if you don't have the tools to check it yourself, you're probably going to get a bad set, and you're not going to know. Now, using their engine builds, like their short blocks, is different than using them for just machine work, right? Because the machine work is only part of the process. The assembly, the verifying bearing clearances and all kinds of stuff is, I have, and it's the same deal, is tough. And so, what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say is, I think the assembly is where they had the biggest problem. I mean, albeit the machine work has been hit or miss, and obviously accountability has been an issue. I think the assembly is where the biggest problem lies. You can't spin that many bearings and not have an issue with assembly. And I don't know how they're checking bearing clearances. I don't know what techniques they. They could be doing it all right, but have a gauge that they don't realize, like a bore gauge, they don't realize has really, really poor repeatability or really poor accuracy, and end up producing engines that have way too tight bearing clearances, not even realizing, so it's just not, their quality control, it just isn't there. And I don't know why. I haven't been there. All I know is that every engine except for 2 has spun a bearing on us. That's a lot of the ones they assembled, right? And we don't routinely sell their assembled engines. We used to offer it, I say wait again, god damn it, Tier 1 used to offer it as a cheap option for people that just can't afford to do a full build. They can't afford a factory one because their short block was like, $1,000 or something for a short block, and it had a warranty, which they're probably going to deny. And we would say, hey, you can do, they would say, hey, you can do that and put in your car and all that. But we would give them the disclaimer like, yeah. Anton is a little aggressive on the internet. He's more aggressive than I am. Let me just say that. Seeing his comment right there. Yeah, I haven't had one yet from them that I can use. But don't get me wrong, I like them. I like the guys, and I'm going to have them do my 6-cylinder for me. But as far as the 4-cylinders go, I haven't had one that I can use yet. Man, I got fucking 3 flies right here? What the fuck happened? I need to get a fly swatter. That being said, I've only purchased a couple from them. And I think Tier 1 might have purchased a few also. And I know that Craig Woolman had purchased some from them and had a bunch of problems. But that was years ago, and I know that he's worked with them in the past, and they've had better luck. Years ago, nobody gave us good stuff other than Sunwest. Even IAG, years ago, I had to send a couple engines back to IAG many years ago because they weren't done right. So everyone's had issues in the past. And if anyone makes a bad engine or does bad machine work, I'm be the one to get it. That's just the way it works. K1 rods back in the day were more popular, and they sent me a bunch of rods, and a couple sets were made wrong. Made so drastically wrong that there's no way you could have built an engine with them. Yet I got them, and lots of people build engines with them, and I'm like, hey, this is really bad, and they're like, wow, that's really whack. I didn't realize that they were like that. So, you know, there's just this vortex around me that sucks up everyone's shitty work and like deposits it on my freaking porch, I guess. It's either that or I'm the one that figures, the one that finds the shitty work. And I refuse to believe that. I would rather believe that I'm the one that just happens to get the shitty stuff than all these companies just put out nothing but shit. Because that just doesn't, you know, these companies, they wouldn't be successful if all they just put out was shit. So I'm just, you know, if LG's gonna have a funky TV or washing machine or something like that, it's gonna be the one they send me. If there's gonna be a laptop issue, it's gonna be the one that I bought. If UPS is gonna lose a package, it's mine. If FedEx is gonna lose one, it's mine. Like, it's just the way it works. That's just my luck. And people around me have witnessed it, and they just say, "Man, that's dumb luck. You know, don't let it rub off on you." So if they're gonna lose cams, it's gonna be mine, right? That's just kind of how it works. And I just hope that, you know, in the end, people own up to their mistakes and take care of the shit, but they don't seem to want to. So, yeah, I can just say that, you know, I don't recommend them at all. It's a super high failure rate, way more than is absolutely acceptable. And none of the engines that Tier 1 has built, since I taught Nick how to do it, has had a failure. None. Other than one we left the heads on. We left the heads on one and burnt the head. And that was because boost control, we figured out what it was, by the way. The plug in the external wastegate came out, and so the boost went really high and lifted some heads. That's it. That's the only engine that Nick built after I taught them how to do it that has failed. That's pretty good. So, yeah. Yeah, Subi Speed? I don't know about Subi Speed. I have no idea. In Germany, IG's gotten their quality control better, and they seem to have better measuring tools now. I don't know how long those engines last. They got some cool shit, man. I don't know, like, if you saw that video they recently put out where it shows all the air gauging and everything they use for the cranks and all that. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. And they have definitely improved their quality control. I think they had kind of like one of those, you know, hump experiences where they had pretty good practices and then got way famous too fast and had a huge load and were unable to maintain the quality control, and then had a rash of failures, and then got better stuff and got better guys and got better training and made the process like much better, because now this stuff is really good. So it's really impressive to see what they did, because there were things that I saw, I was like, motherfucker, I've always wanted to do that. But I didn't have the funding for it, you know. I was like, damn it, I wanted to do that, and they did it. So they're pretty sweet. Like I like them. I like that they continually try hard, you know, to set records, to make cool stuff, and to make a good process. You know, at MPS, when I ran MPS, we had our climate control rooms. You know, filtration and ventilation and all of that, and then and then I closed it, but like nobody else had that, and then other companies started talking about, oh look, here's our engine build room, this is climate control and stuff. So it's like we kind of started a trend in the Subaru industry to get people to kind of fall in that line. They saw what was working, and we were really successful. If I hadn't got sick, I probably wouldn't have closed the business, but I got sick. I don't know if you guys even know that. I got sick and almost croaked. Then I wouldn't have closed it. I wouldn't have had my near-death experience, and I wouldn't have moved across the country to be closer to my kid and all of that. So, but we were getting more and more successful and popular. We had a bunch of records. A lot of the products that we brought to the market became the standard, and it was really cool. but we kind of nudged the industry along a path to improve the engine building. And it's really cool to see the guys that have really like taken that and ran with it. And IAG is a perfect example of somebody who took that and ran with it. They really, yeah, they went all out. So yeah, it's cool. I feel like they were growing, but at the time when I closed MPS, they were mostly small CNC parts, you know, battery tie downs and stuff like that, you know, air pump delete plates, and they just had like a small machine. They did small stuff to put their logo on things, and bottle openers and oil fill caps, you know, all that kind of stuff. They had lots of that little stuff, and they were just trying to get into the scene about the time that we closed down and stuff, and then they just like blew up, which is totally cool. It's cool for them. So. Hold on a second. I saw a message come through. Closed deck short blocks. 7,000. Damn. Oh, the Sui Speed guys. Jesus. That's a lot of money for a closed deck short block. Sorry guys, I'm reading all these messages here, so I apologize I'm quiet. Most of them I've addressed, but yeah, and there's some communication back and forth with the chat with you guys, obviously. So I was just reading them to see what was going on. Yeah, people won't touch on some warranty claims and issues with them. Correct. Yeah, you know, that's a problem. It's always somebody else's fault, you know. And this is a perfect example. Like, I delivered cams, I put them in the box. They went to the shop, they didn't come back, and I'm told that I'm supposed to just straight blame tier 1 or something. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, especially if they lost the fucking heads for 2 or 3 days. Like, oh, we don't have them here. What do you mean you don't have them here? Oh, what are you talking about? Like, you would think that if that happened, that at some point you'd be, you know what? Maybe we did lose them. Maybe somebody stole them who was disgruntled. Maybe something, right? But I'm out fucking $1,650-ish, like $1,647 or some shit now, after I pay the machine shop and Kelford and the tooling and all the shit. Like, so it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, and I just want somebody to own up, you know, like, and I'm not even saying cut me a check for $1,600. I just said compensate me, right? Like, hey, you know what? We're sorry. We'll do this in exchange for a certain period of time, right? Like, that's fine. That's fine. You know, if I fucked something up and I didn't have $600 to give them, right? I'd be like, well, how about if I do fucking 6 tunes, right? Or something, right? What if I do this for you or help? Like, some form of compensation. I am totally up to that. I mean, give me a big fucking stack of meat, right? Oh, you know what? I don't have the money, but I got a bunch of fucking good beef in my fridge, right? I'll take some fucking beef. You know, let's fucking haggle, let's barter. I'm good with that. And yeah, someone's got a fucking set of cams. You know, someone has a fucking set of cams. And yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I'm serious. Like, I got a big freezer out there, and it's got a bunch of beef in it, and it's going down because we eat the shit out of it. I mean, shit right here this round. Watch, yeah. Boop. That's my sous vide. In there are 2 fucking rib steaks in plastic, or you know, vacuum sealed bags that I use the food saver thingy on, right? And it's heating up right now. It's at 132 degrees, and they're gonna sit here for a few hours, and then I'm gonna let them cool down to about 125 or 120ish. And I'm going to throw them on the grill really quick just to sear them and get a nice crisp on the outside with some more seasoning, and I'll have some delicious steaks, right? And I like fucking steaks, so you want to give me a bunch of money in steaks? Let's fucking give me a bunch of money in steaks. Like, let's do it. Like, at least something, right? But they just be like, nope, nothing. no, we're not helping you out. Like, all right, well then fuck you. I ain't helping you out. In fact, I'm intentionally hurting you at this point because that's fucked up, you know? And this isn't even like, I'm not even making shit up. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just letting other people know what problems have been happening, right? Let the public hold them accountable. So there you go. That's what it is. So let's see, you asked me opinions on sleeving versus pinning versus closed decking. Okay. My opinion, based on experience and on some facts, is this. Closed decking is really good. Pinning is not very good. And sleeving can work, but there are a bunch of problems with it, and it has to be done right. What are those problems? I hear you asking me before you even type it in the chat. I'll tell you. First off, the bore on the Subaru is quite large. What's even larger, though, of course, is the distance between the head bolts, right? Those head bolts are really, really, really far apart. And getting the clamp load from those head bolts over here to the gasket over here is hard. It's a difficult task, right? Especially because the head is made out of aluminum, and the head is not this thick, it's this thick. So what happens when you take aluminum that's this thick and you put a ridge in it and you bolt it down in two spots? Well, it tends to bow and flex and all of that. So one of the things that helps us with our head sealing is the fact that the deck and the head are both aluminum. Now you're like, hold on a second, Dom, you just said that was bad. Well, it is bad in some ways, but it's good in others. And the reason is, in your head gaskets, there's a little built-up section. Sometimes it's an embossed section, or it's a thicker piece of metal, or it's a folded layer, or whatever, okay? Some call it a folded stopper layer, or a fire ring, or something, right? There's a hard spot in the gasket that's slightly thicker than the rest of it. Now, the aluminum in the head and the deck, at the littlest bit, just give. When you torque it all down, the aluminum bends around that thicker spot, and there's like a little hump, okay? And you can see that when you take the heads off, they've been used for a while, you see where the thicker part of the head gasket was. There's this indentation, on the deck and on the bottom of the head. That's the aluminum deforming a little bit around the hard steel that's in there. Now that deformation provides stability, right? Think about that. This steel is in this little groove, this bent, deformed part. It's not going to want to slide really easy left and right. The problem with sleeving is that you now provide a lower surface that is hard steel. And that steel is not deflecting, it's not bending the littlest bit like the aluminum does. So now the gasket is freer because the top still bends some, right? To slide back and forth with pressure. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but in my experience, and I'm sure everybody else has too that's done it, they found that head gaskets are harder to keep sealed on sleeves. And they often go, well, the sleeves dropped. Well, sometimes they do. That's absolutely true. But in most of the cases where I've had issues with head gasket seal, and we've taken them apart, and we've looked, there was no drop. There was no drop at all. But what you see, or what you don't see, is that there isn't a ring of deformation where the gasket sits. And so I'm telling you, that gasket is held in tighter by the soft aluminum deforming around the fire ring between the two of them. And yeah, sleeving gets rid of that. That's Chase calling me. And again, if he was my fucking friend, he'd know that I was streaming. He's probably watching the stream right now going, shut up! Shut up! He probably got a call from Sunwest just now. I would put money on it. But he should be calling this phone. Should I call him? Live stream the call? That'd be fucked up, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of fucked up. It'd be hilarious, but it'd be fucked up. Okay, so we'll go back to other stuff. Okay, so Okay, so pinning. I don't like pinning because pinning concentrates the forces to a small point. Plain and simple. Now you have this whole cylinder that's trying to expand, and you put a round pin or something. Even if you put a little back cut, you put a thing in there, you're concentrating the forces to that spot, that small point. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't like pinning at all. And to get the amount of tension you would need with a pin to keep from wiggling around or having stuff, we have to have a lot of tension, and then you're putting the cylinder and you're deforming it and you're causing other issues. So yeah, I wouldn't pin. I think that's terrible. So closed decking, I think closed decking is great, but it's really important. It's really important that it's done right. Okay. There needs to be enough tension that it's not wiggling around. There needs to be enough tension that the cylinder is like, oh well, I can still move some because the closed deck isn't pushing back enough. So there's got to be enough tension that it's actually functional. It has to be cut correctly so that you don't inhibit flow through the head gasket to the heads. A lot of people go, well, it's open, and so there's less coolant flow. Like, well, not really, right? Because the head gasket's there, and it has small holes in it that control hot flow through the head, and they don't even perfectly line up with the holes in the head on the factory gaskets. There's some overlap in some areas and that kind of stuff. But it's obviously important that all of the available holes in the head and the head gasket have access to coolant. That it happens. Now, there is a little bit of heat transfer that's lost due to the closed decking because the coolant does go up against the head gasket, up against the surface of the head. A little bit. That does exist, but it isn't something that causes cars to run hot. It doesn't cause them to overheat. It doesn't do any of that shit that people talk, well, closed deck's just going to overheat. Like, shut the fuck up. Not going to overheat. That's the dumbest fucking thing ever, right? Now, if someone has a closed deck that's cut for a B25 head, they put a D25 head gasket on it, and then put a different head on it. Yeah, you could absolutely have problems because the way the super cooling system works is the water pump discharges into the bottom half of the block. It goes into the head, around the back of the chamber, then out of the head and back into the top side of your block, into the crossover tube to the radiator. So if you block that flow, right there at the bottom, the most critical part on the exhaust side, if you block that flow by having the wrong head gasket that doesn't match the head, the ports, or the wrong closed decking system that blocks the ports or whatever, then yeah, you're going to hurt your cooling flow and you're going to have overheating issues. Like that absolutely can happen. So it's important that it's made correctly. And when you take your head gasket and you set it down on that deck and you look at it, all the holes available in the head gasket should have access to coolant flow. You should look at it and go, yep, those are good. Those aren't blocked. And if one is blocked, you go, oh, that one looks blocked. Then take your head, flip it over, put your gasket on it, and go, oh, it's blocked here too. Okay, no problem, right? Make sure that it's not, you're not freaking out about something you're going to forget about. So it needs to have flow from the bottom of the block into the head, through the head, top, and that kind of stuff. And you don't, it would absolutely overheat then. So now I have closed decking, I have proper cooling, I have proper strength for rigidity, talked about that, and then the fact that you maintain the factory deck being aluminum is super handy because that makes head gasket sealing easier. But we still have an issue with the head bolts being really far apart and the head thickness or the deck thickness of the head being really thin. And so what happens? You still have issues with head gasket sealing at really high horsepower levels. So then there's O-rings, which are a good way of doing it. However, remember that distance we talked about again? If you get an O-ring that's too thick or you add too much material in that area, you create a bulge in the center. You can really deform the head around that O-ring. And so it's really hard to find the right height of O-ring to prevent yourself from deforming the head too much when you bolt it down. Now, the heads deform anyways when you bolt them down. I don't know if you've ever checked valve lash before and after you mount the head on an EJ, but the valve lash changes about 3 thou on half the valves from being on the table to being bolted to the block. Now, you take them here, you put it on there, you torque it down, about 3 thou difference on half the valves. And that's significant. So you should always check your valve lash when it's torqued down to an engine block. So O-ring was a good solution, like I said, but if the O-ring was too aggressive, you were still having issues because the head was flexing and bending around the O-ring. And if you've ever over-tightened an exhaust gasket, right? And you see the flange go meow in the middle, and you're like, well, it's really tight here and here, but it's blown out right here. Well, that's almost exactly what happens in the Subaru head. The distance between those bolts is, it's really far. And I don't know if there's any engines that have a distance that's that far apart. Because even my LS, way closer. Yeah, I don't know of any engine that has them that far apart. I'd be happy to learn of one, and then I could chuckle. And if they do, chances are they probably have a much thicker deck in the heads, right? The chamber thickness, the thickness before the cooling jacket is probably thicker to help add rigidity. That's one thing they did on the LSA and LS9 heads. On the LSs, they actually thickened the deck of the head and then also increased the density of the aluminum in the head casting to increase the strength and its resistance to, deforming under high cylinder pressures. So it'd be really nice if we had a densely cast Subaru head that would resist that bending and contorting, because that alone would make a huge difference, right? I mean, we're putting fire locks and things, putting O-rings and things, we're doing, Cooper head gaskets, we're doing 14 mil head studs, half-inch head studs, 11 mil head studs, right? All these arrays of things to try and battle this problem. But if we could increase the hardness of the head and reduce its flexing, its just deformation in use, that alone would give us huge gains in reliability and power capacity on these things. At one point in time, I had designed a system that added more bolts to hold the head down. And I don't want to give it away exactly what it is or how it works, because I might still fucking do it, to be honest with you. But I've been so busy and buried in my current product releases and designs and stuff. I got another one that's really cool for the rally drivers. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm in the middle of a patent search on it, and this one might actually get patented. Because I'm not finding anything yet, and there's nothing on the market. I can't find any patents on it. So this one's gonna be pretty cool, I think, and American Rally Association or whatever, hopefully they will approve this part, because it will make their job easier. It will make the owners of the rally cars lives easier, and a bunch of stuff. So I'm excited for that. But if you don't race rally, you're not gonna care, because it's a rally only part. So don't bother asking unless you race rally. So I've been in the middle of that. My pulleys, I dropped off 49 of the light enough pulleys to the anodizer today. He told me he'll have them back to me Wednesday, a week from today. So that means they'll start shipping a week from today. So once I get them back from him, then... Shut up! Cats are being stubborn. A week from Wednesday, I'll start shipping them. So if you guys have a pre-order in, thank you very much. I just wanted to give you some updates. I posted pictures of them in Discord in the raw aluminum form, in progress, being machined, and the steps along the way, and then the final product. So if you want to go take a look at those, feel free to swing by the Discord and check those out. And the dry sump is still in the works. I'm waiting for some friends of mine to do what they said they would do and give me some stuff, so that I could get some more data on that. I appreciate those of you that are curious about that and waiting on it. I'm also working on the air-water intercooler. Because I want to use it on a few cars, as well as my car and in my compound turbo setup, where I will have an air-water intercooler between the turbos and then one after the turbo, after the final turbo before the engine. So that would be pretty slick, I think. I'm hoping. But the air-water intercooler will work on any car with a standard location intercooler. I will also be working on one for the black manifold cars, but the dimensions are totally different on that. And so those guys will have a totally different intercooler available. The drag car that we're building is going to have a big air water in it. I can ice down the water and bring the charge temperatures below ambient with an air water, and there's no reason not to, right? If I can do it, let's do it. So we'll do that for his car. That'll be pretty sweet. And then the regular top mount one, though, will be adequate for circuit racing, daily driving, etc. It should be pretty sweet. So I have some rally drivers actually that are interested in that as well. They believe it'll simplify things for them. I'm not convinced because it's a whole other circuit. It's another fluid that could potentially leak, and all of that. But it will provide more consistent temperatures than what they have. So I guess the benefits there, but only testing it will yield the results to let me know if it's rally stage proven or not. I don't know if you guys remember that joke. It's rally stage proven intercooler. Am I getting bald yet? Oh, yep, sure I am. Let's see. Those little boxes there, those are my cam seal tools. Cam seal install tools. Have you guys seen those yet? Have all of you seen my cam seal install tool? It's really neat. It is literally the coolest cam seal install tool ever. And I know that might sound like egotistical or something, but it truly is. It's really neat. I'm gonna grab one that's not boxed up. Ah! I'm falling in my office full of parts. My cat is chasing me around the house. What the hell does she want? Probably food. That's what they all want, right? It's food. I don't know, she's a woman. She could want money. Just kidding. Let's see. Come to my channel for your daily dose of chauvinism and car stuff. All right. This is a plastic protector on it. All right. It's my cam seal install tool. 2 parts. This looks like a normal cam seal install tool. It's got the lip. It's got the counter bore. But what it also has is this. That hex shape goes on this guide pin. So this guide pin, you screw it into the cam. Now you can choose to either do it like this and screw it into the cam, but it's a big radius so you turn slow, or just take it out and screw it into the cam manually, into the cam. And then you just take your seal, slide it over the thing, and put this on the guide pin. And this guide pin is done extremely precisely to the bore on, or I should say this bore is done precisely to the guide pin. We used a broach tool. And in fact, Ryan did it. Ryan's machine shop, 7 Seaters LLC in Idaho, did the machine on this. They used a log splitter, and they mounted the broach to the hydraulic ram and made a receiver on the back of the log splitter. And then, because the broach is like 18 inches long for this thing, and then they just put the tool inside this receiver, hit the button on the log splitter, and it broached the tool. They pulled it out, swapped it out, put another one on there, hit the button again, and just used a log splitter and broached 200 of these fucking things for me. And they did a fucking great job, right? They did a great job. Anyway, so this guide pin is inside your camshaft. Now you'll see there's no wiggle. Like, you can't even hear it rattling in there because it's not rattling. Wait. Oh, you can almost hear something. It's really, really tight. And so what this does, this keeps the seal tool, the install tool, completely perpendicular to the camshaft, right? And so what that means is 2 things. One, it means that your seal is being driven in perfectly perpendicular to the bore that you're driving into. If you're ever trying to drive a seal into a bore at a slight angle, you can have a lot of issues with that. You can deform the seal, you can peel back some of the rubber on the outside edge, you can have it slide in kind of funny and then get too deep, all kinds of problems, right? Well, this keeps it perfectly square to the bore. Now, if you've also noticed, the head, from the cam cap to the head, that interface on some heads, there's like a 20 thou difference in height on the front of that head. And so if you're trying to hammer seal in by hand, the beginning of it, it's going to want to go cockeyed because the surface of the heads are off a little bit. Well, this solves that. It just keeps it all square and in line, and you just literally hold the seal and go tap, tap, tap with the dead blow. Don't use a steel hammer because you'll flatten this and it won't go past the guide pin anymore, right? So you just use the dead blow and you knock that seal right in there, and it goes in straight, and it goes in a square, and it stops at the perfect depth because it's got the little lip on here. And then you just spin the tool to the left to make sure you, in case you got the, see how this pin's got a taper on it? That taper sits on the taper in the cams. The cams have a taper in the front too. So this taper matches the cam taper and centers it perfectly on in the camshaft. So because of that surface area, sometimes it can be a little sticky. So I put knurling on this, not just for grip, when handling the tool for installing stuff, but in case you needed to use it to break that free, pop, to get that bolt out of the cam, then this gives you plenty of leverage to pull that out. And so you just spin it out as far as you want. You can spin it out the whole way with that, or just break the seal and then pull this up a hand, whatever you want, right? Some guys turn it around and use it this way, you know. I guess they could, I don't know, turn around. I don't think you need to. I made it be this way, but you can do whatever you want. Now, if you got a 4G63, this almost works. I was that close. I was that close to making it work. So I'm thinking of offering a service to those who want one of these that works for both, because it is super close. If I add a counterboard to this on the front a little bit, it'll work on a 4G63. The thread pitch for the guide pin's the same, the diameter for the seal is the same. The only difference is the cam is a little wider and doesn't quite fit in here, so I gotta open this up just a little bit, and then it'll work on a 4G63 as well. So if you do both Subarus and 4G63s and you got a lathe, open that up a little bit. Buy one, open this up a smidge, and it'll work on both cars. And then you've got two seal tools for the price of one. So yeah, that's what's in those boxes, my seal tools. Rally Sport Direct right now is the only company that is selling these tools, other than me, obviously. And Tier 1 is also selling them. Nobody else has, none of the other distributors have purchased any, but I am really getting irritated with that fly. But I've sold a lot on the website, so a lot of them have gone out, and everyone that buys one sends me an email or a text message or a video of them using it and saying, dude, this tool rocks. It's the best cam seal tool ever. And I'm like, I know, yeah, it's the best one. It's the best one. I'm proud of it. All right, I saw a bunch of messages go tearing by that I missed, so I'm gonna back up a little bit and see if there's some questions. I lost my phone again. Okay, oh, there's a lot. Jesus. Let's see. When I saw this video, I got flashers that when I convinced you to take my heads and make a motor. Oh, are you that Bradley Hill? I have your 207 heads? I could have missed that. Finally got a live stream. Welcome to the stream. Can you firelog and a sleeves block to help with that? You know, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know why not. I mean, as long as you can machine the steel sleeve the right dimension, you probably could, which would be pretty cool. I think that'd probably be a good way to go. Minimize the chance of splitting the case. Don't even have to go closed deck for that matter. So you have to worry about whether or not you got the head gasket, you know, with the holes and stuff lined up. So I don't know, Connor. I'm gonna find out. I'll find out for you. You're welcome, Kellen, for the explanation. I gotta find this one photo of a stage 5 sleeve like I saw on Facebook Marketplace that has holes drilled into the sleeves for coolant. I'll pop in this Discord later if I find it. Yeah, do that. There's actually, so there are some that have holes in them for the coolant that are drilled through the closed decking that have a ball mill that connects them along the path, and that's totally okay. That allows the coolant to go and flow in the areas it needs to flow, and I actually prefer them to be ball milled down a little bit, not just have the shape cut. I prefer if it's recessed just a smidge in that area, because it helps maximize the coolant flow and the availability of coolant. Nightfire says, do it. I don't know what I'm doing it to, but I mean, just do it all, right? How many parts have you released so far? You know, Kelly, I don't know. I've had pistons and rods forever. The cooling mod, custom stuff, my IIT bungs, the curve, the flats, the IIT sensor, I had those made. They're basically a copy of a Volkswagen sensor for the most part. What else? Obviously the cam tool, the cams,
I'm working on the air water intercoolers, the 2 pulley setups, the dry sump that's in the works. I don't know, some other stuff too, I think. So, read. Aside from needing a scavenge pump with a 2010 Legacy GT oil pan and pickup work and a VA, no. No. Plain and simple read, the answer is no. And the reason the answer is no is because the block is different. The block in the 2010 Legacy GT is not the same as an EJ. It has a whole different lower section for the oil pump and everything. It doesn't have provisions for engine mounts down there or any of that stuff. So the answer is nope, not even close. Why not use your car AC to chill your intercooler water? Yes, people do that. That is absolutely true, and it's not a bad way to go. If you have a large enough mass in there or whatever, you can absolutely cool it down to well below ambient. And then when you romp on it, AC turns off anyways. Then that energy that you use to cool the water, you get the energy back, right? It's basically what happens. You're taking energy and you're storing it in the mass that is your intercooler water, and then you get the energy back. It's almost like regenerative braking, but for engines. And you'd get that for a nice cool charge. It absolutely works. People have done it, and one day I will do it too. Yo, Kenneth, welcome to the stream. Do you know of any R&D going on billet heads for the EJ? Yes, there is a company that's working on billet heads. I thought they had released them. Maybe they have not. I know that Pastrana's car has billet heads on it. At least that's what I heard. But that is it. I don't know anything past that other than yes, I've heard of it. I don't know who it is. I don't know any of the details on it, so I can't give you anything more than that. I would love to be able to be part of that team. I was providing some information to Dart. They were talking about doing some stuff for blocks. Not sure if they're gonna come through on that or not. I know they were originally working with a bunch of shops trying to do something, and then I don't know if it fell through or what. They come with condoms. Awesome. Yeah. I was like, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? Yes, they're condoms for sailors, actually. And where did they go? This guy. That's why on-base housing is always so full of pregnant women and kids. Those are sailor condoms. Looks sexy. Yep. Oh, yeah, I mean, if your girl likes the knurling. I hate broach is a piece of garbage. We have never stays in tolerance. Oh, that's not good at all. That's not good at all. Have a broach that doesn't stay in tolerance for more than 10 parts. This thing worked great. It was flawless for 200 parts. Welcome back. BP. Eagles sleeves has done a fire lock on EJ sleeves. Sweet. Love my 13WX. Everyone hates them. No, 13's a better year. It comes with the VF52, so it's got a real turbo on it. It's got the wider body, so it's not a narrow body. It does unfortunately have the shit-ass 5-speed, and that kind of stuff. But they're a fun car. They're good. I don't think you understand how bad that block is. Looks like a dog chewed on the sleeves. The sleeve and firing block. Yeah, I don't know what block you're talking about. But bad machining is bad machining for sure. Have I just thought I was on my own casting for the EJ case halves? Well, yes, I have, Connor, quite a bit actually. Quite a bit. I've even talked to people about it. Obviously, like I said, I was providing some information for Dart, who was doing it, and like I said, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I wanted to do cast iron. To be completely honest with you, I wanted to do cast iron. Obviously, that poses the issue with the sealing area being iron and all of that. So you would definitely need to do like fire locks or something like that. But the deck would deform way less. The whole thing would be way more rigid. And main bearing growth, which is the biggest issue, these things spin bearings or lose oil pressure with use, would no longer be an issue. You could run all the boostages. Like I said, you wouldn't even need closed deck because the sleeve would be thick and strong. The whole thing would be stable. you know, and I'm sure we would do a semi-close, maybe a full close anyways, but like with a cast iron block, you could do all kinds of stuff. He's got text message. Don't have text message in, right? Oh, they do. If you're watching the stream, dude, it is in there. I can't text him from my phone, because if I do that, then the stream stops, which I think is kind of weird. I wish it would just stay on. I wish you gave me the option to just screen capture. That'd be hilarious. Let's see. They do have temp. All right. So I'll text from the work phone. He's gonna be like, "Who the fuck is this? This is the phone number you should be calling for car stuff." Just kidding. Let's see. Order cam tool for a YouTuber I watched from Puyallup. Who? Tyler or Taylor? What's his name? Is that who you bought it for? I'm waiting months for my NVIDIA exhaust. Been loud for a while with a straight pipe. Well, the NVIDIA exhaust is going to be loud too, so it won't be much different than a straight pipe. If it's a Q300, Tanner, that's what it was. Media, yeah. Yes. Yep, Tanner. Let's see. I think I have a chat. I think I have a stream about his videos. Yeah, so the NVIDIAs burn their packing out really fast, and then they're not any good anymore. I mean, they're still okay. They're just really loud. So the Q300s, especially with the quad exit, holy shit loud, really loud. So anticipate that after about a year and a half or so. If it's an R400, it's just gonna be loud all the time. But yeah, their packing burns out in like a year and a half, and the volume, or faster, and the volume just gets louder from day one until eventually the packing doesn't work anymore. Just they keep getting louder. I wish they weren't that way. NVIDIA used to make really sweet exhaust, but they went to a super cheap, shitty packing that just rots out of them really, really quick. And for a while, they were doing warranty exchanges on them. Going, oh, we're sorry about that. Now what they do is say, oh no, that's just the muffler breaking in. That's what it's supposed to do. That's what they've gone to now, which I get, you know. And so because of that, I purchased a bunch of stainless steel wool. Maybe it was ceramic wool. I forget now because I haven't done it. I purchased a whole mess of it, and then it's in a box on one of my shelves with all the rest of the shit that I hoard. And the plan was going to be to open the top of the muffler up, repack it with that stuff, and then seal it back up in an area where you wouldn't see it. You could either cut the back of the can, or well, I say the back of the can, but it's actually definitely the front of the can, right, on the opposite side that you would see from the back of the car. You can cut the can along the whole perimeter, slide the whole thing off, well, you may or may not be able to do that because it depends on how the middle piece is. Might have to cut the inner ring too. Slide it off, change the packing out, and put it back together and weld those two spots back up. Or do it the way I've done it in the past, where it's like, fuck it, cut a big square door right on top of that thing, pull it off, put new packing in it, put the door back on, and weld that sucker back up. It works. You can do it. Try and use a really skinny grinding wheel or cutting wheel, because you lose material in that process, and then you got a big old gap to fill. And if your welder isn't any good, like, it looks pretty bad. But I've done that a few times on mufflers in the past. I just haven't done it with this new stuff that I got, because I'm hoping it doesn't burn out as fast. I wanted to find the company that Nameless uses for their mufflers, because they use a ceramic packing that doesn't burn out like at all. So I wanted to find out who their supplier was and use that person. But I keep forgetting to contact Jason at a normal period or normal time of the day and see if he'd help me out with that or not. I just keep forgetting. So, I got too many projects going on. Last year, just a year ago, we bought this house. And before we got the house, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. You don't know if you're gonna get approved. You don't know if the closing is gonna happen right. There's all this, stuff going on. Plus, I was doing new parts, and there's a lot of overall just anxiety and fear, of the future. And then we got the house, and I took a month off, and all I did was get up, in the morning and work my ass off all day on the house. And from the day we closed, and for like the next 6 months, I felt no anxiety, and it was glorious. But it only lasted about 6 months. And me being me, I was like, hey, here's 1,000 things to do. I'm going to try and do them all at once. And so back to the anxiety again. In the mornings, as I wake up, I was like, it's a little tight in the chest, a little anxious about all this stuff going on. So hopefully I can get all these projects done, like the power steering kit. I'm working on that too. Josh, he's always so mad. Where's my adjustable power steering controller? I am working on that actively, Josh. If you guys haven't heard about that, it's a hydraulic controller to adjust the assist on your power steering. Yeah, to adjust the assist on your power steering. Primarily, I designed it for track days because you don't need that shit on the road. Like you don't need it on the road. You don't need to adjust the power steering system on the road. But I went to a track day, and the first run out, I got a black flag, and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Look behind you." And I look back, and I was like, "Holy shit! Smoke screen!" Spy Hunter smoke screen the whole track. And I pulled in, and my power steering line had ruptured and spewed. It spewed ATF all over the exhaust. So it spewed ATF on my exhaust, and there we go. And I didn't want to, not race anymore for the day, so I just took the two leads, the two hoses, the high pressure, low pressure hose from the power steering pump, stuck them together on some 3/8 hose with 2 clamps, and then took the two leads from the steering rack, put the two leads from the steering rack, and put them together with some clamps, and drove the car with no power steering. And it sucked in the pits, man. It was terrible in the pits. But once you got going on the track, it was amazing. It was awesome. You could feel the sidewalls flexing through your steering wheel. And so you could tell exactly what your slip angle was, because you could feel the tires scrubbing. You knew instantly when it started to lose grip. You knew before it happened that it was right about to lose grip. It was great. And so I was like, everyone needs this. Like, if you track race your Subaru, you need this. You need to get rid of your power steering, because the difference is freaking amazing. And so I immediately was like, I need to make this something that people can have and put on their cars and still have power steering when they want it. So I've been working on that, because honestly, it's sweet. And oh, she didn't make the jump quite right. The good news is the electrical part of the controller is already made. It already functions. It's already programmable. It's got everything we need for that. It's already able to accept inputs like TPS and Gs, and it can't accept steering angle, unfortunately, but it can take mile per hour and a bunch of stuff. So the adequate programming is already available for the controller, and that's sweet. The problem I'm having right now is getting an electrically operated hydraulic valve that can handle the duty cycle and the flow rate of a power steering system. That's what I'm working on right now, for less than $1,000. Because I can get, hydraulic PWM valves that would work, but they start at around $1,000 for just the valve, and I don't think that that's going to be what we need, and they often flow a lot more than we need anyway. So that project is in the works, and Smedia is fun to watch. The problem with his channel is he doesn't fact check anything, and a lot of it is hearsay. And I after his first big video, I sent a message, hey man, would you like me to help you? Like, I'll be your technical advisor if you want. I'll go through and fact check your stuff for you, so you're not passing out incorrect information. And he said no. And then his next video was just loaded with hearsay. And I was like, motherfucker, like, your videos are great. You have good editing, you have good energy, and you have good information. You just need to tighten up the accuracy a little bit. And unfortunately, his videos result in me getting phone calls going, this guy says I can get 450 wheel horsepower on the stock turbo. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, no. I mean, it was like a Don 1.5, but something like that, right? But it was like not at all accurate in horsepower figures and stuff. And so I offered to be a technical advisor for free to just help him out so that he would know that the information being brought out was factual. And so unfortunately, a lot of it just isn't. Plain and simple. A lot of it isn't factual. So unless you see like direct stuff, like good references to the stuff, you can't take all the stuff he says as gospel because it's not right. So that's a bummer because like I think the dude's got a ton of potential. I mean, he's already making tons of money, doing it. So good for him. That's awesome. Obviously, he's got way more followers than I do, way more views than I do, and everything else. It's unfortunate because when somebody has that kind of ability to make a successful YouTube channel, it's really, really beneficial if it's accurate. So I feel like he's been doing better, but yeah. So it wasn't like I was trying to change his content, right? At all. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to give him like stuff like, hey, technically that's not right. This is why. This is why those things aren't correct. So that way you're not leading guys down the wrong path. Because when you get a YouTube channel that's as successful as his, people take your advice and do what you say. They buy this stuff you tell them to buy. They call their tuners with questions about the stuff, and then I gotta go, no, that's not totally correct. That kind of thing. So I feel like the bigger you get, the more responsibility you have to be factually accurate. And I don't think that he's totally there. So other than that, it's a great channel. Like I said, good energy. He's got good good production, I should say, and the subjects are relevant to people, that they want those videos with that information. He just needs to get the information better. That's it. But he's a good time. Let's see. The dual 4-inch N1 style. Mine burned out in like a week. Oh yeah, the NVIDIA's for sure. N1's already allowed. Sweeney is given to watch. Yep. Try being a plumber with 1 million projects around the house. Well, Connor, I'll have you know that I was a plumber for this house. I've never been a plumber. I mean, I did nuclear power piping, which is quite a bit different. It's all stainless and Econel and all that kind of shit, and very high pressure and very large, big round pipes. But I hadn't done home plumbing before. Like the first P-trap that I ever made for a house from scratch was the one I did in this bathroom right here. And then I had to do 3 more here, so I got better. Actually, fucking 4 because that's the double-sided sink. So, oh no, there's only 1 in there. That's right. So, anyways, I got to learn plumbing, trial by fire kind of thing with this house. But I can imagine that what it's like being people. I mean, okay, so with that being said, I am a car builder with 10 cars and 3 run right now. 3 run right now. The Corvette's taken apart. The RS is taken apart. The red car's taken apart. The other coupe's taken apart. 1 coupe needs timing components because it's fucked up. SVX has got a bad transmission. The wagon's got a bad engine. Yeah, and then so the Blazer's got an engine that works. The truck is one that works, and the BMW mostly works. Something broke today on the way home, so I got to put it in the air and figure out what's wrong with it. So I got 10 cars as a car guy, and only 3 of them run, and 1 of them is now questionable because it's fucked up. So yeah, I understand. I understand being a plumber with a bunch of things you got to do at home. Roasted. I'm not roasting him. I'm not roasting him at all. I'm just merely stating that the dude could do good, and he could do great by the industry and by the community if he was just more accurate. Cooley was one that made me worry about feedback knock and all that. But I ignore it now. I mean, put the anxiety port in the glove box and don't fucking worry about it. No, so I don't know. In a 13WX, if you got feedback knock in cruise, whatever. Don't matter. There's no energy in that. Just ignore it. If you got it in boost when you're punching it, definitely worry about it. Tomei for the win. I'm not a Tomei fan. I appreciate the stuff that they do with like their papers and that kind of stuff, but a lot of their products are very lacking. I'm not a fan of theirs really at all. I hate their header. I hate their up pipe. I don't like it at all. I can trade work for on my F350. Q1 is the loudest. Q1, I believe, is the loudest. It's the straightest pipe one with just a little potato shooter thing on the back. Sardonic energy. You know what, Zach? I don't know what the fuck that means. I'm gonna call myself out. I don't know what sardonic means. I have a feeling I know what that means, but I am going to look that up. I love educating myself. Obviously, I got to send myself to school at 40 for 3 more. Grimly mocking or cynical. That's what I thought you were going for. Yeah, so, you know, they say, like, you can figure out what things are in context. Well, if you're talking about my energy, then that's the context for that, yeah. Hey, I say funny stuff, too. Let's see. It's a BMW. Oh, my car. Yeah, I think the transmission mount broke on it, but it's a 2020. Like it shouldn't happen. ATP Turbos. ATP Turbos. A long time ago, 2010, maybe 9, ATP started making turbos for Subarus, and they used Garrett center sections and created their own custom Subaru fitment turbine housings and small compressor housings and put them in the cars. The first thing that we discovered was that they made about 15% less power than they should have made, considering the wheels that were in them. That sucked because they made less power and they were laggier. And I've gone over this a ton of times in other videos too, just that the factory location turbos, especially the aftermarket ones, they're hindered greatly by the form factor, by the room that's available to them, by the small inlet, by the tight turbo inlet and the tight bend under the intake manifold. You know, they're hindered by all of that. They just don't do well, and they don't do that good. Like I said, take whatever horsepower rating that the turbo has, drop at least 15% off of it, and then add 500 RPM of lag to it, and that's pretty much what you're going to get with an ATP turbo. And it's not ATP's fault. It's Subaru's fault. The form factor fucking blows. Plain and simple. The form factor fucking... I need an F adjective, don't I? The form factor is a fucking failure? I don't know, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so it's just the stock location sucks overall. It absolutely blows. We take the DOM 3.0 that's in a factory location and rotate it, make 25 wheel more horsepower with 250 RPM faster spool, minimum. Take the ATP turbos that are in the factory housing location and then rotate them, and sometimes don't even change the compressor housing, pick up 10 to 15% horsepower, 500 RPM faster spool. It's just the factory location is crap. It's just crap. That's all there is to it. If you're looking to make a lot of power. That being said, I'm doing a compound setup in my car, and I'm using a VF52 that has the Pavel Engines G25 550 hybrid design turbo thing. And I'm using a Mamba turbo, whatever it is, the eBay turbo brand, whatever, P20 turbine housing on it. So it's factory location, and what I'm doing is I'm utilizing a turbine wheel and a larger turbine housing to reduce back pressure, to enable better flow rate to the second turbo in the system. And then I'm using their point milled compressor, which is modeled after the 550, but is not a 550 compressor. It's a millimeter smaller, I believe, in all dimensions. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not right. It's the same exuser, 60 millimeter, but it's a smaller inducer, 46.5, versus the 550, which is 48 millimeters. And it's different profile. So it's different trim, different profile. It's not a 550 compressor. It's just modeled after it. And so I'm using that compressor in a factory VF52 housing that we're going to use for it. So this turbo is a hybrid that's going in the stock location that supposedly, and from friends of, let's say friends, students that have tried it, said that it spools as fast as factory. The dyno sheets say it spools as fast as factory. So everything says it's supposedly a better, a good solution for factory location turbos. So I'm using it. I'm going to put it together with a regular 48 housing on it, test it on the red car by itself, see how it does. Then I'm going to take it off the red car and put it in the white car, change the compressor housing to the 52 housing, and then build the compound setup on that. Well, Lane's going to build the compound setup. I'm going to watch him build the compound setup for my car. And that'll be on the RS. And it'll start off with a 2.5, and I'm going to build a 2.3 for it. It's going to be on the same heads I've had on the car forever, but I'm going to my latest release of cams, not the prototypes that are in it now. So it should be a pretty sweet setup. I'm excited for that. So do I give the G25 550 hybrid my stamp of approval yet? I don't know. But I really think the P20 is going to be a really awesome combo for it. Obviously, I'm going to lose some spool, because when you go from a 7 to an 8 centimeter housing, you lose some spool. So I'm going to lose some spool. But I should, if the compressor flows like they say it flows, I should pick up top end with a larger housing. So I pick up top end housing. That's going to be awesome. And I think it may turn out to be a pretty sweet turbo for guys that wanted to spend $300 to upgrade their existing turbo and put it on their cars, and need a fuel system too, because you can't run it on the stock fuel system because you will absolutely run out of fuel. But regardless, we're going to see. We're going to see how it does. You know, one company makes it, gives you the data. You're always naturally skeptical, you know, and like people are skeptical about my data for my stuff, and I get it, you know, like I'm the guy that makes it, so of course you're skeptical. So it's good to have other people review it and do stuff to it, and so I'm reviewing it, and then I'll let you guys know how it is as an independent party who has nothing vested in this turbocharger. So I paid full price for it. They didn't give me a deal or anything like that. So I have no obligations to say one way or another, you know, if it's any good. I bought it off eBay. Only I did was send a message, hey, this is Dom from DomTune. I'm gonna test this turbo out. Thanks. And that was it. That's what I told him. So that started with ATP Turbos, didn't it? Another one of my tangents. But yeah, form factor sucks and the factory location. But maybe that turbo is gonna be cool. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I agree. It wasn't a roast, but I'm glad to see you addressing this information. You know, James, I didn't cover the exact things they said that were wrong, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go line by line and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I just want him to be aware that other people also know that that he's in an area of responsibility that he might be skirting a little bit for the views or for whatever. I don't know. Just talking about exhaust. I'm not a fan of the header up pipe either. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know their mufflers. I haven't heard them. Oh, that's not true. I've heard the X-Brain something exhaust. SSI header, same as RCM and GT spec with all the rest. Yeah, I don't like the merge on it. I don't like the material thickness. I don't like the overall design or the fitment. Everything is better with twins. Yeah, not really. 93 Silverado. So you got a lot of rigs too. I see. BP. 74 Camaro, 96 Suburban, 2013 WX, and they all run. Yep. Well, I mean, all I gotta do is fix one of my cars, and I have the same number of cars that run as you do. Then I just have also 6 others that don't. So, and you know, honestly, 3 of those cars ran a month ago. The RS ran, The red car ran, and the Corvette ran. And I took them all apart very recently. That name sounds familiar, and I don't want to say anything bad. My initial response was, "Oh, that one sucked," but it might not have been him, so I don't want to say that for sure. So I would have to look at. In fact, I'll go do it right now. Let's see if I can find on the internet. I got another phone right here. B&M header. Oops, this is not a swipe phone. That's right. B&M performance headers. Bunch of shit that came up that isn't theirs came up. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm looking at the 4-to-1 Medusa header, as they call it. The 4-to-1 Medusa header. Well, there's no data on it, which is a bummer. It looks like a copy of the map and the Killer Bee, kind of like the same shit as all of them. My issue with it, just by looking at it, well, let me say the good things. It looks like it's got a good merge on it. The angle's not too steep. It's a gradual enough merge that it would be really good. If you get a steeper merge when they come together, you guys have heard the shoot. When you get a steeper merge, the exhaust pulses have a specific resonance, and what you can do is utilize that resonance to improve power in a small band. It's not great to do on turbocharged cars because we try and have a wider power band anyways. His is nice and gradual. I like that. So that's good. 1, 3. Wait, hold on a second. I'm looking. 1. Front one is there. Back one is there. And front one is there. Back. It looks like he's got the rotational firing order. I can't tell. 1, 3. 1, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, so it looks like he has the primaries in the right order so that they're firing around the merge. If you look at the merge, it's a 4 and a 1. So you have 4 pipes. If you just look at 4 circles, and you can have a firing order that goes to the pipes, in different orders, right? Inside that, a lot of people have said that they believe the rotation of the firing order through the merge is the correct way or the best way to do that. And so my comment is going to be, it is in fact in that same rotational direction, and so that's good that he did that. I saw one, I think it was either him or Map, had originally done it. I think it was him, and he had it backwards. He had 2 cylinders backwards, I believe, and I think this is the upgrade or the revision of that, because I'm pretty sure it was B&M that did it, and I think I probably roasted the shit out of him on Facebook about it. But now I'm looking at this, and it looks like he got it right. So the only other thing I said, I can't see it, he didn't tell you, it looks like it's too fucking big. It looks like the primaries are too big. It looks like the secondary up pipe section is too fucking big. If it's not, great. But by the pictures, it looks too large. And when you do that, you have a lot of volume, you induce a lot of lag, and you do so at the expense of, because you're trying to shoot for more power on the top end. But you don't have to go that big. This looks really big. It looks like it's almost a 2 1/4, collector, maybe even bigger than that, and that's just too big. It's too big. It's bigger than most up pipes, and there's no reason to go that big on the secondary pipe there, unless your goal is only to make top end horsepower and to sound like absolute shit, and to have no spool, because that's what you'll get out of something like that. Now, again, that's saying based on what it looks like in the pictures. He didn't say what the actual dimensions are, so I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. The ETS header, I don't like it. The worst sounding Subarus in the world run ETS header. Holy shit, they sound bad. It's such a blatty, raspy shit sound, and the spool sucks on them. The welding is nice. The fitment is pretty good. and that's all fine and dandy. I just don't like that they sacrifice so much spool by adding so much volume to try and exceed the top end power. I believe that not more power. I believe that you can make almost as much power and have significantly better spool with just the right size primaries and secondaries. The problem is that getting the right size primaries and secondaries is difficult because you got to buy existing pipe. And that is why I have been working on a cast header. Nobody likes cast because it's fucking ugly, but cast gives us infinite possibilities for the internal diameters, for the shape of the ports, for the shape of the merge, for the volume, for everything. And so for that reason, I've been working on a cast header. Basically, I have been modeling the internal dimensions of it because that's the part that I want to be cast, right? As far as accurate is the internal dimension. So I have been modeling the internal dimensions. I got a whole thing in SolidWorks going on with lengths and a bunch of shit. And so I I want to have it cast, holds in more heat, so it gives you better spool, reduces underhood temperatures. It will have perfect internal dimensions, so that you can't complain about that. The only thing is that cast stuff isn't as pretty. You won't have blue welds on stainless pipe to look at and go, wow, that might crack in the future. You won't get that. So it won't be as pretty, but I think it's going to perform really good. And so I'm excited for that. I forgot that in my list of stuff earlier. It's on a back-ish burner because the other stuff is a slightly smaller initial financial investment. And that's how it goes with this stuff. You got to design your parts, sell what you can, use that money towards tooling for the next one, and keep going. That one's going to be a big, expensive tooling cost. It's going to be like 20 grand to do the tooling cost on a cast header. So that one is a little bit down the ways because I ain't got that right now. Let's see. Like and share on videos. Parent small tube header. I do like the parent small tube header. I do like the parent small tube header. The big tube's not bad either. And I never thought I would ever say that. Honestly, I never thought I would say that because a lot of the parent parts like that in the past haven't been very good. But I do like it. When I found out that my red car that I bought didn't have it, the mods list he gave me said parent header on it. I was like, sweet, I'm put that on my white car. That's gonna be great. And then I got under there and it was a Tomei. I was like, fuck, it's a fucking Tomei. And to make it worse, it was a 3-bolt. Just shoot me in the head. Dude, Kenneth, you're right. But you don't get those scene points or style points. Kenneth says, who's looking under the car while racing? And be like, bro, that header is looking awesome. Yeah, I get you totally. And people don't, but they got to have those IG points, man. You got to post that shits on Instagram. Yes, BP, please like and share my videos. What clutch assembly would you recommend for my 2008 Body Order XT? Body Odor XT? 300 wheel horsepower tuned by yourself. I tuned a 300 wheel horsepower XT? Or you tuned it? 08 XPST, 08 OBXT. Obviously manual because of the clutch. If you're still the 5-speed, then I would do. If you're still a 5-speed, then I would do like ACT, honestly, or stock. The stock clutch is still really good. Well, I take that back. The stock 06 WRX clutch is still really good. The dual mass flywheel on the Legacy and the OBXT kind of sucks. So I would yank it out and put a stock 06, 07 plus WRX clutch in it. That's honestly what I would do. At 300 wheel, the clutch is more than capable. It's obviously got the right weights in it. They're calibrated for the gear lash and the train, so you don't get a lot of transmission noise. It's smooth. It's not that expensive. I would absolutely do that if that's all that
I say that's all. But if that's what you're at power wise, that's what I would do. If you're going to go bigger or you love clutch chatter, then I would go something else. But I really think that a stock 2006 WRX clutch and flywheel is the best solution for that. If you needed a little more than that, then I would do like an ACT HDSS. But I'd be really, really certain that if you used a used flywheel, like from well, it'd be an 06 WRX one anyway, so you'd probably get a new flywheel, and I would get a new one, because if you get a used one, the step height is really critical, and a lot of machine shops that do flywheels can't get the step height quite right, or get it square to the main friction surface on the flywheel, and then you get a clutch that chatters a lot and bites hard, and people are like, oh, this AC clutch sucks. Well, it's because the flywheel wasn't done right. But if you get a brand new flywheel, an HDSS will be a really good clutch for you as well. Just know that you'll get more decel noise and that kind of stuff when you have a stiffer clutch, because the springs are harder and they don't dampen the gear lash in the transmission as well. Guys don't have running cars, always stuck on a lifter jack stance. Hey, I resemble that, Mark. I can make you feel better by donating my Killer Bee Holy Header to your white car. Yeah, the Killer Bee's all right. I like the Killer Bee overall. His first revision 1 has good size primaries and good size. I feel like that pipe is a smidge on the big side, but the primary size is a good size. It's 1.5, which is a good size with the full race is. But really good power comes at like 1.6. And a lot of other brands go like 1.75 or something like that on internal dimension on the primary, and it's just too big. But right in the 1.6 range, you get really good power out of those things. So like this setup I have in my car right now, will be really good. I think my initial plan is to use my full race header for my twin scroll setup as my header for the compound, but make a custom up pipe that comes from the double flange, and then it comes together and then wires out again to feed a wastegate that goes to the second turbo and then the primary turbo. I like the way my car sounded with the Killer Bee, with the full race header on it, the equal length and all that. And I'm sure I like the Killer Bee too. I just don't know how well they fit on a GC. Honestly, I've never tried fitting a Killer Bee on a GC. I don't know if it would fit. The radiator is really damn close on those things. Oh yeah, which light flywheel did you get? Street light or a pro light? Because a pro light's no good. Definitely don't want to use a pro light on anything that's on the street. It's bad for the engine, it's bad for your left foot and everything else. Parent small tube and ETS rotated. All right. Street light gang, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, parent small tube, that's good. ETS rotated kit's a pretty good rotated kit. What year is your car, Kenneth? I'm not using it. I already sold the STI. Oh, shit. So, Zach, which one did you get? Street light or pro light? And Kenneth, what year is your car? 11. Yeah, so the ETS rotated kit for the 11s. It's a good kit. Like I said, I feel like that pipe's a little large. But you got the small tube header, so that's good. That'll help out in keeping the volume low. That should help the car get good spool and make good power, so you'll probably be in good shape. I like the fit of the turbo kit. I like where the turbo sits on the ETS kit. It'll work good. I like the hard turbo drain line, not some big long squishy one. Yeah, so don't be upset about that. That's a good purchase. I think you're in good shape. I don't know what turbo you got. Street light, I think I warped the flywheel overheating. Yeah, that'll do it. I mean, you can definitely do that. Or you don't warp it. You put, if you burn the clutch, you deposit little bits of clutch material on the flywheel, and then like brakes when they get fucked up, it pulses and stuff. Is there an ETS kit I dislike? I like the intercoolers. 3582 Gen 2. Okay. Yeah, that'll rip. That'll be good. I think my wife's gonna be home soon. So I'm gonna go really soon because I need to finish making these steaks. Gotta put them on the grill. Let's see. Yeah, there she is. She just pulled in. What do you think? I was psychic or something? I made some stairs. I don't know if I told you guys that. Really happy about that. We used to not have stairs out back. We used to have a ladder to climb up into the house. And then the wife fell last week or week before last and I had to make some stairs. So I should lock the front door, make her use the back door. So I made the damn stairs. Use the door, woman. Oops, wrong button. Let's see. I don't make it anymore. Hi, Annie. How you doing? What did you order? What's in those big ass boxes? Well, it's got your name on it.
It says Costco. It's your stuff that you ordered from Costco.
Oh, is that what's on it? Costco? That's mine. I'm an idiot. What did I order from Costco? Are those the lights I ordered like fucking 2 months ago?
No, it wasn't that long ago. You ordered something.
I'm streaming right now. Someone said to me, do you, because I mentioned how much I was spent on something, and I didn't say the actual price, I said I spent a lot on something. Like, oh, I don't want to say on the stream so the wife doesn't hear, huh? I was like, she doesn't watch my streams. She hates my streams. She supports me in like everything, but she hates my streams.
I don't hate them.
You don't hate them.
They're
It's not
just
part
my
of it.
thing.
Right. What's that? Which one is this? Because I ordered the sous vide, and that came,
Yeah.
and then I ordered lights, right? What's up with the lights then? I wonder if I had your name on it.
Because I'm the owner of Costco.
Oh, there you go. Yep, they're mine. They're mine the whole time.
Idiot.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. It's true. Mark it on the calendar. Let's see. Thanks for the stream. I almost bought it. Smoking T-bones right now. Oh, right on. Catless Spoolinator. I don't have any experience with Spoolinator, so I can't tell you. I don't have any experience with it. It's a fucking cat. She just wants to occupy my space. Message deleted by Google moderator team? That's fucking weird. I wonder why. Oh, it was probably a link, and it probably like automatically silenced the link if it was something. But I don't have links turned off though, so I don't know why. So if you're curious about the Discord, Connor, yeah, that's weird. Just go to my website, GetaDomTune.com. Well, shop.GetaDomTune.com, and go to my Discord subscription page. From there, you can buy the subscription if you want to be part of the tuning class. If you don't, you just click on the link that gets you to the site or to the Discord page, and you can shoot the shit with us and ask some general questions and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to be part of the tuning class and have access to the tuning lesson modules and all that, then you got to do the subscription. But yeah, shop.getadomtune.com, and then the Discord link. It's under I think utility and all and something else that you can find it. And then right now I only have 4 modules up, but there's a lot of discussion in those modules and the tuning discussion section and everywhere else too. In general, engine builds, car builds, a bunch of sections in the Discord channel. Yeah, so bunch of stuff in the channel, and I'm always open to help out, and there's a lot of good resources in there. So please feel free to come check it out. And lots of gaming. I mean, not a lot of people game. Most people just do the shit. I game a couple times a week. Yeah, sometimes it's a couple hours a night. So I'm in there gaming, goofing off, playing Counter-Strike or Rocket League or Viking stuff. Big blocks. Sure, we talk big blocks. I know more about small blocks and LSs than I do about big blocks, but I'll talk to you about it. Whatever. So. Reed, I appreciate the comment. Yeah. Reed said something very nice. He said, by the way, thank you for taking the time to teach and share.
I'm a professor at a community college in Hawaii, and I can tell you that no one teaches for money. Yeah, man, I know that money is just not in teaching. The local college here actually offered me a job teaching, and when they saw how good I was with students during the class, and I actually ended up teaching almost the whole class, the whole semester. The teacher that did the class was like, you're better at this than I am, so this is what I want to have covered, teach the class. And I pretty much did. And he had me like, he's like, here's the thing for the final, make the key. And I'm like, okay. And then I went through the whole test and made the key for everybody. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, they offered me a job, but the money just ain't there. It'd take up a lot of my time that I could spend doing product development and all that. And at least I'd get summers off, right? And Fridays off, but the money just isn't there. It's hard. And I can do it this way and still, have fun and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I love to teach. I did it in the military for 5 years. I had a teaching gig in the Navy when I was in the Navy, 3 years and then 2 years. And I love doing it. I also love tackling my fears. I have a fear of public speaking, and a classroom is public enough that I still get, a little sweaty with the fresh class. And sometimes even with a known class, I get a little nervous sometimes. So worst thing in the world, the teacher that doesn't like teaching. Yeah, like why do it? That seems dumb. And I've had those, like they don't like students. Like what? I mean, okay, so in big colleges, there's a lot of professors that are there because they want to do research, but they have to teach. So they don't like teaching, but they want to do research. And my friends went to U of I, and they had a couple teachers like that were just there for doing research, and they would try and pawn off all of their duties on as many of the student or teacher assistants and students that they could, so they wouldn't have to teach. And a lot of classes suffered from that, and some of them succeeded because the teachers sucked in the first place. But there's a lot of that suffered because there's people that barely know the subject with no experience teaching other people that also have no experience in the subject. So sorry about the camera bouncing around. Yeah, so if you don't like to teach, it sucks that you would even do it. Like that. So I'm getting a haircut this week. How bad it is. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna cook these steaks, and thanks for stopping by. Again, come visit me on Discord or send me an email or whatever, and we can shoot the breeze, talk more car stuff, or if you just want to learn some shit, we can do that too. See you, man. See you, James. See you guys. Good night.